Welcome back to 5 Minutes of Theology with Dr. Dan and Pastor Dan. I enjoyed preaching this weekend on our thoughts. If I had more time, I would have wanted to talk more just about the peace of God that was mentioned in verse 9. Dr. Dan, any other thoughts, even going back to the passage two weekends ago, from the peace of God, and now this week, Paul emphasizing God's peace going with us?
I see more and more this connection between what Paul says about the God of peace and what he said before in regard to the peace of God. I actually am seeing more and more connections between different parts of Philippians. The more I'm in this book, I hardly ever open the book anymore that I don't see a connection that I haven't seen anymore or seen before. But in this passage, Paul has talked about the peace of God standing as a sentry, as a guard over our hearts and minds. But he's not talking about that in the sense that we can just decide, oh, I'm going to experience this peace today. So this peace is not something that we just drum up from within ourselves somehow, or something that we just kind of do in maybe a more and more natural way. It is the idea that we see in this passage that it's the God of peace who is with us, and it's the God of peace who's living in us, with us, that enables us to experience the peace of God as a guard for our hearts and our minds. So you see the connection there between what's in verse 7 and what you see in 9 and 10 in regard to the thinking about the thought processes. And over through this book, you mention it, we see this thinking idea that's prominent. And the thinking most of the time is in relation to setting a mind, having a mindset, setting a frame of mind that kind of governs the way that we act. But he says it so prominently in this text that the way we think is related to what we do, what we practice, and all of this connected to the God of peace who's producing the peace of God to stand guard over our hearts and minds.
Yeah, I agree. And I do think it's all connected, not like the Matrix, but like Scripture. Someone asked me, like, oh, you preach the last 3 weekends, you just choose all your favorite passages you want to teach, and that's not the way we do it. It has more to do with our calendar, and you kind of figure out what you're preaching over time. We mix things up a lot, but I am thankful I was able to preach all 3 of these and see how connected they are, from rejoicing in the Lord, from not being anxious, to prayer, and to our thoughts. 100% think it's connected. And it makes sense that we have the peace of God because the God of peace is with us. So thanks for re-emphasizing that, and hope you have a great day.